So after having my butt handed to me for the second week in a row by a Terra Dragonite, we are definitely not in a great position right now, currently sitting at 1-3 in the standings and on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. The last 3 weeks here, the BBR D-League, are going to be very, very crucial for us if we have a chance at making playoffs, where we essentially need to win out. Putting the Terra Dragonite aside though, we are taking on KingSosa and his LA Infernapes for week number 5 of the BBR D-League season number 1, and he has one of the most formidable Pokemon in Draft League format at his disposal, being Iron Valiant. Technically, one of the best, if not one of the top 5 Pokemon, or potentially even top 3 Pokemon in Draft League format, with the unique Fairy Fighting typing, as well as it being able to Terrasilize for his team, being able to Terrasilize into either a Fairy or a Steel type. Putting aside Iron Valiant, because my matchup against Iron Valiant is going to be pretty complicated, and I'll get into that in a second. But other than that, though, he does have other formidable Pokemon at his disposal, specifically stuff like Skeleturge can be a very, very annoying Pokemon for a few of my Mons. Even Iron Treads, as he has the option to remove any hazards I may set with either Meowscarada, Gastrodon, or Garganacl. And he has some other good options as well. One other Pokemon in particular that does kind of scare me is definitely going to be the Noivern, because I feel like Noivern, my flying resist is Garg, yes, but Garganacl's matchup in this game is sort of iffy, if only due to the fact that he has the Iron Valiant, he has Quaquaval, he has the Wo-Chien, Mudsdale. Basically, he has a lot of stuff that would force my Garg to be healthy, and for the most part, it's not the best Pokemon to bring in comparison to everything else on his team. So yeah, this is going to be a very, very crucial time for us, because like I said, if we lose one more game, we are all but assured out of playoffs, and I definitely want to keep the ride going as much as possible, especially when it comes to breaking our 2-game losing streak. As for the team I did end up building for this matchup, starting things off, I kicked things off with Dragapult here. Shadow Ball, Hex, Will-O-Wisp, and U-Turn. Taking a look at Sosa's team, yes, he does have 2 Ghost Resist in Wo-Chien and Morgrem, but he does not have a normal type. So regardless of him having the Ghost Resist, Shadow Ball and Hex is really all I need for the most part to do damage to his team. Will-O-Wisp is there to cripple his physical attackers, being Iron Treads, stuff like Quaquaval, even the Mudsdale, and Iron Valiant. But Iron Valiant is more of a mixed bag in more ways than one, because of the vast variety of sets it could potentially bring in this matchup. So if it's physical, that's great for me, because of the fact that I can cripple it. It's no longer an issue for my team. If it's special with Calm Mind, or just straight up choice specs, whatever, then nothing I can really do about that. But regardless, the combination of double Ghost move is still really, really strong in this matchup. I have 252 EVs and special attacks to hit as hard as possible. The 108 speed is enough to guarantee outspeed max speed timid Noivern, and the 148 in the 148 in defense lets me guaranteed live a jolly unboosted Spirit Break from Iron Valiant. With heavy duty boots, I ensure that I am not taking a residual damage. He does have the option to hazard stack me, whether it be with the Mudsdale, the Iron Treads, and even going as far down as the Swalot if he decides to bring Toxic Spikes. In conjunction with Dragapult here, I do also have my Meowscarada. Very straightforward set. I have Flower Trick knockoff. It's just nice to get rid of potential heavy duty boots on his side from stuff like Skeleturge. U-Turn there for momentum, and then Spikes I have myself just to get residual chip damage on my team. Again, this is just a very straightforward set. Expert Belt just to hit as hard as, do a little bit more damage, and Meowscarada has pretty been crucial for this matchup, just because of the fact that with Flower Trick, I can bypass the defense boost that Mudsdale gets through stamina, and always crit that thing, and essentially 2 a KO with Flower Trick, especially if it's Expert Belt boosted. But yeah, a very straightforward Meowscarada set, max attack, max speed, to at the very least force the speed tie against a non-Scarf Noivern. And yeah, nothing much else to say about that. So yeah, Dragapult and Meowscarada's job are basically just to whittle things down to put things in range for my Espathra. So Espathra, with the Terra Fairy, this does a crap ton of work in this game. Granted, I do have to do some chip damage to the Iron Treads and even to the Iron Valiant, basically due to the fact that Valiant can easily run Terra Steel to get rid of the psychic weakness. It resists Lumina Crash, and then it can then either fire off a Terra Steel, or I can't think of what other steel move it would get at its disposal. I'm blanking right now. But regardless, though, Espathra is still fairly strong in this matchup. Lumina Crash just does a bunch of damage, especially with the Spadefdra with the guaranteed -2 special defense. Shadow Ball is there to do the most damage as I can to the Scarlet, as well as it gives me the best way of doing damage to Iron Tread, which is the main target of Shadow Ball. Dazzling Gleam with Terra Fairy just nukes his dark types in the Wo Chen and the Morgrim, and Protect is there to ensure that I am able to at the very least get Scout for moves. I do apologize, I am modest nature, I am not timid. I know you see the two positive natures, but that's a typo. That's supposed to be modest. It's supposed to be plus special attack, not plus speed. But regardless, this is enough speed to guarantee outspeed Jolly Max Speed Quaquaval, as there's really nothing much else on Sosa's team that I really need to be speed creeping. So yeah, and then modest is hit as hard as possible, and then the rest is through into special defense. So yeah, that's the offensive part of my team. Now to get things a little bit more bulkier, and it starts here with my Salazzle. So Salazzle is the one Pokemon on my team that is pretty necessary for this Iron Valiant matchup, because Iron Valiant, as I mentioned, does have the ability to terrestrialize into either a Fairy or a Steel type. Salazzle, on the other hand, not only resists Iron Valiant's Dual Stab, it also resists Steel. Even more so, Salazzle does not care whether or not Iron Valiant terrestrializes into a Fairy or a Steel type, because it has a way to hit it super effectively regardless of what it terrestrializes into. That's why we have both Sludge Bomb and Flamethrower, just to ensure I have a means of hitting Valiant no matter what it terrestrializes into. Will-O-Wisp to spread burns on his physical attackers like Iron Treads, Wo Chen, Quaquaval if I need to stay in and try to burn that thing before it gets out of hand, and even the Mudsdale if I want to. And then the last move is Taunt. Taunt just ensures that stuff like the Wo Chen can't go for Leech Seeds, the Skeleturge can't go for Slack Off, stuff like that. So yeah, the EVs, max speed to ensure we outspeed a non-Scarf or Booster Energy boosted Iron Valiant. The 140 in defense is enough to guarantee take a unboosted Jolly Liquidation from the Iron Valiant from full, and the rest is thrown into special attack, because even if Iron Valiant is max HP, it'll drop to Sludge Bomb or Flamethrower regardless, because Iron Valiant does have pretty bad special defense. So from there, moving on, we have our Gastrodon, which is also a very imperative member of this team, because without Gastrodon, the Quaquaval would just Aqua Step on my entire team, getting free speed boost, and if it gets a Moxie boost, then it's GG. So Earth Power and Ice Beam is pretty self-explanatory. Earth Power hits pretty much everything that's not Noivern. Ice Beam is there for Noivern. Recover to keep my Gastrodon healthy. And then Stealth Rock is the hazard of choice, just because I already have spikes on Gastrodon, on Meowscarada, excuse me. So, the EVs, we have, there's not much else to say. The 52 special attack is enough to guarantee Oko a 0 bulk Noivern with Ice Beam. The 12 speed is just for general speed creep in case he wants to bring Mudsdale trying to creep a uninvested Gastrodon, and then the rest is just putting the physical defense to be a better response to the Quaquaval. I can even take 2 Hurricanes from Noivern if it's not boosted, even with basically no special defense investment. So if I need to be a backup Noivern check, I can be. Although basically this is pretty much going to be checking a lot of Pokemon in this matchup. So yeah, Gastrodon's going to have a pretty big role heading into this specific matchup. And then finally, we do have our Assault Vest Scizor. Yes, Scissor's finally making a return after week 1. We are AV just to ensure that the Iron Valiant doesn't get too out of hand. because basically I did a mock with Hayes, shoutouts to Hayes, and I was crapping myself when he brought Calm Mind, Iron Valiant, and I really didn't. I had stuff for SD, but in terms of Calm Mind, I had nothing. Especially if it was booster energy on top of that with Calm Mind. So yeah, things got out of hand really, really quickly. Thankfully, though, I was able to, in the sense of Calm Mind Valiant, it did have kind of 4-move slot syndrome, because he did have to deal, if he was Calm Mind, he didn't have a way of touching Scizor, since the only fire move that Valiant gets is Fire Punch. And he was packing Energy Ball to ensure he got rid of my Gastrodon. So at the very least, Scizor can, for the most part, cover Valiant somewhat decently well between those two sets. So Assault Fish just gave me the best chance to cover Valiant if he is special. And I actually do need all these EVs. I do need max special defense. I need Assault Vest, because not only does it help me deal with Iron Valiant, it also gives me the ability to take a timid flamethrower from Noivern after Stealth Rock with the investment here. So yeah, pretty nice if I do have to take that hit from a Noivern to pick it off, to take it out, then lo and behold, I will do that. I will take that chance. As for the movesets, everything else is more or less explanatory. U-turn for momentum, bullet punch to pick stuff off, like the Valiant if it's not Terra Steel, and if it is Terra Steel, that's what close combat is for, to ensure I have a means of hitting that thing super effectively. And then the fourth move we have here is Thief. Thief just gives me the best way of hitting the Skeleturge super effectively. So yeah, I already talked about the EVs. Max Spadef for Noivern, 28 speed to guarantee outspeed an uninvested Wo Chen, and the rest is put into attack with an adamant nature. So with that, that is the team for week number 5 of the BBR D-League. Hopefully we can snap our 2-game losing streak and get back on track, because like I said, we only have 3 weeks to go before the season is over, and we cannot afford to lose any more games, because if we do, we can kiss our playoff hopes goodbye. Nonetheless though, hope you guys enjoyed the team builder. It's a little bit shorter, but I want to make this a bit more compressed, so not talk your ears off. And yeah, hope you guys are looking forward to the battle on Monday. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next time, this is Tone, signing out for now. Peace out.